Nyule Hare Manda Nyule Hare Manda Ayamare Kudu Jiaoyi
Myanmar is a land of opportunities. However, more than 4 decades of military rule bred endemic corruption that is pervasive throughout the country's political and administrative systems. Myanmar is consistently ranked near the top of Transparency International's global corruption rankings. Corruption is driven by extremely low government wages. This encourages the search for alternate sources of income. It's also driven by complex processes that allow corruption to operate beneath the surface. As well as this, weak rule of law and judicial enforcement mechanisms allow corruption to proliferate. If this is left untouched, corruption will undermine the democratic reform process, as well as impede economic growth and development, both of which Myanmar cannot afford.
Having declared the political will to fight corruption in December last year, the government must put together a comprehensive set of measures within a national anti-corruption strategy. This should be driven by an evolving definition of corruption that accounts for Myanmar's cultural norms of gift-giving and patronage, and recognises the people's fear of reprisal. We propose 3 recommendations that should be central to a policy mix to address corruption. First, the government should strengthen rule of law in the country, which involves strengthening the regulatory framework through reform in public laws, essential to ensure that all stakeholders in the government, including the military and the bureaucracy, can be held legally accountable for misconduct. In this respect, the recent approval of the anti-corruption bill by the parliament is a welcome move. In the long run, the government should aim to adopt internationally recognized standards and also ratify the UN Convention on Corruption. To promote transparent business practices in the country, the government should also strengthen industrial regulations, implement reforms in the financial sector, and introduce competition laws. Further, the government urgently needs to build a strong and honest judicial system. The judiciary must be able to function independent of any political pressures from the other branches. Judges need to be provided with high-quality training, and a strict code of conduct should govern the judiciary in order to eliminate internal corruption. Finally, effective enforcement of laws will not only require commitment of the judiciary, but also of the bureaucracy and the police force. Effective reduction in corruption is likely to result when corrupt practices are investigated swiftly by an independent body and offenders are prosecuted.
The idea behind amnesty is to offer corrupt officials an opportunity to come clean and admit their past. This is in exchange for avoiding the full severity of tough new laws. Amnesty tends to work in situations where you are looking for immediate changes and the incentives to drive this change are misaligned. In the case of corruption, the costs of admitting your wrongs are high and the benefits from doing so are small. Amnesty tries to bring the costs and benefits closer together through a process of reconciliation that requires humility by both parties and builds goodwill. In Myanmar's case, corrupt officials will have the opportunity to confess their past, submit their personal finances to greater transparency going forward, and provide investigators with a better understanding of the extent of corruption, the processes underlying corruption, and who is involved. In the long run, this will help fight corruption by providing a circuit break on systemic corruption, reducing the number of outstanding cases so that investigators can focus on prevention and new cases, increasing investigators' understanding of the problem, and building goodwill with the public.
We want democracy! We want democracy! We want democracy! We want democracy! Free, free, free Myanmar!
The third strategy to counter corruption in Myanmar is to get the support of the Burmese people. With safety in numbers, the masses who have been bearing the brunt of rampant corruption can be assured that there is political will to eradicate such practices in the country. Here, the media serves as a potential channel to educate and inform the Burmese people of the government's anti-corruption strategy. With the repeal of censorship laws in August last year, 16 new licenses have been granted for newspapers, which signals the liberalization and increased independence of the media industry from the state. This would mean greater credibility of state-related news, as reported by Burmese media. When people are informed about what the leadership is doing, information asymmetry is lowered. People can then trust and cooperate with the top leadership. Imagine the power of civil society when they can be the ones to monitor implementation of public projects, just as how India has been successful in this area. Once the fight against corruption becomes part of the public discourse, there's no turning back. The public pressure and movement will mean that there is now a greater cost of being corrupt, the fear of being uncovered, caught, and then punished. In 1970s Hong Kong, the masses were able to report against corrupt police officers, leading to the success of the country's fight against corruption.
Moving forward, we believe that with a strong and committed leadership, as well as the political will, Myanmar can bring corrupt officials to account, as well as establish a culture based on professional integrity, and ultimately stamp out corruption.
With corruption addressed, Myanmar will be free to pursue its potential as an economic and cultural powerhouse in the region and beyond. Thank you.